Hello and welcome to another episode of the Not For Nothing podcast. We're here to talk all things New Year's as we kick off 2024.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. So this year, I was wondering if you had any New Year's resolutions.
Yes
Okay.
and no. I feel like as a Jewish person, my New Year started in October.
Oh, I'm sorry. Happy belated New Year's.
Thank you. So I feel like I get my mind rolling a little bit on the New Year's resolutions.
Mm-hmm. You have a head start.
A head start. So my big one, and that I've been texting you about this, is I'm really trying to be more physically active because it's really good for my mental health, and that hasn't been doing too great. So I feel like, what can we do?
Shouldn't be giggling about that, but
so I've been doing Pilates, which is kind of psycho.
It is. Are you doing reformer?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm doing solid core, which some people say is not real Pilates.
Is that a chain or is
yeah,
that
it's like
type?
a chain.
Okay.
It's like a soul cycle, but reformer machine.
Okay.
And it's psycho. Like my muscles are like seizing after.
Oh.
But I sleep like I've never slept before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's been really good for my mental health. And I'm trying to cook more because
that's great.
You can just like notice like your mood changes when you're like in a ordering food week. Because the financial strain.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm doing this again. It's just self-sabotage every time.
And like you just feel gross.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just eating French fries and chicken nuggets, and it's so much nicer to make your own French fries and chicken nuggets.
I just get sick of it. Like,
yeah.
And I'm moving to Staten Island this year, so well, yeah. And your options are essentially Italian food or fast food,
which are my two food groups.
They're great. Don't get me wrong.
I know, but
Love both.
But I'm in the same boat where that's all I'm eating.
Oh yeah, that's true. Where you are.
Like I agree. Like it's hard. I miss where I was in LA.
I took so many options for granted.
First of all, that banh mi spot was incredible near my house.
I had banh mi last week.
The ramen, like tatsu, so good. I miss all the, like I used to live in like the Japanese neighborhood of LA, and when Sarah came to visit, it was always just like we would ball out on food.
Yep, absolutely.
Kazunori. And I've missed that feeling of like not feeling like I need a nap immediately because I just ate my weight in fried food.
Right. I'm thinking about eating meat again. Insane thing. I haven't eaten meat in 17 years.
And I've been like texting her some stuff where I'm like, would you eat chili with chicken?
And it's, I think fully it will be, if I do make that transition, it's because I'm not going to do keto, but I'm going to just be a lot more conscious about focusing my meals around the protein.
Would you eat like a chicken parm?
Like, I guess, but that's not really why I would be eating meat. I'd be eating meat to do like chicken and rice, like very much like cutting season, or like maybe a chicken Caesar salad or a wrap.
And you do fish already, so that's already a big one.
I do fish, but I'm not huge on fish. Like it's easy to get sick of. I was in a phase where I was eating tuna sandwiches recently.
I just got out of that phase.
I'm over it. Firm.
While I'm in school, because I only have class at 5, I like have time to make myself a lunch, and I try to eat around like 3 so I'm not like starving in class. And I was deep into making tuna sandwiches, but I think I need a little break.
Yeah, I've hit my limit.
So good though.
I'm like not really into salmon right now, and
I did too much salmon.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm through all of my fish phases right now, so I'm like, I think.
What about anchovies?
Can't really do it.
Don't know how much protein's in anchovies, but
I think a lot.
Not the ones in the can.
How do you eat them though?
Okay, so there's the ones in the can or like the jars.
I have a jar one at home.
Yeah, those are great for like cooking. But then if you go to like an Italian or like European market type thing, and they have like just marinated in oil anchovies, and you'll see them. They're usually like in a plastic thing where they're laid flat.
Okay.
Those are so good to just eat. You just eat them.
Okay, I don't think I could do that.
You put them on like a little like charcuterie thing, like you're eating other stuff, and then you just with a toothpick, you roll them up.
I don't know if I'll be able to like get behind it, like picking up an anchovy, because it's like a whole fish essentially.
But they're more meaty.
Okay.
Than the ones in the can and the jar. Like they feel almost like there's only the bone. You know what I mean? Then that's why it's good for cooking, because you're just like mashing it up to put into like a marinade.
Right. Or like make a like Caesar dressing or something with it.
But here it's like there's meat on, and it's like it's less of that like overwhelming saltiness. It's more just like a little fish.
My dad, his pizza topping is anchovies.
Me too.
Really?
Like, but it depends where. My
dad will always order anchovies. He orders pizza well done, which I don't get that.
So like New Haven style.
Ew, not thin crust.
A pizza?
Not a pizza. When he orders a pizza, it's well done pizza with anchovies. And I'm just like, that is a nightmare.
So I used to be like that too. And then when I was in LA, I got anchovies from Domino's on my pizza. And that's very disturbing. That really put me off for a minute, because that was like one of the worst. They're like dried, you know, it's just terrible.
No. Like rehydrated.
Yeah, like it was just absolutely atrocious. But when I was like during the pandemic, like deep into like my pizza making phase, then it's nice because you can like buy.
Yeah, you're in charge of the anchovy.
Yeah.
Control. What is it called? Quality control.
Quality control. And I don't really believe they should be put in with like I feel like it's a post topping.
Agreed. I do agree.
I don't like when they're cooked and warm. Like,
yep.
But
I have a can of mackerel at my house right now, and I can't get myself to use it. I don't know how, and I'm looking up recipes, and I'm like,
I don't think I know how.
It's just a small big fish, if that makes sense.
I'm trying to think. I've had like mackerel like sashimi.
Right.
But I can't say I have no recommendations for you.
I guess I could like mash it up and make it like a faux tuna sandwich, you know?
Or you could pickle them. But
they're already canned.
But are they pickled?
I don't think so.
Like, is it canned in vinegar?
No, I don't know. Pickled fish.
Pickled fish is the best.
You're kind of throwing me for a ride right now.
Okay, for one of these days when I'm back in New York, I'll bring some pickled herring.
Okay, I'm scared. I am.
Yeah, but I think you would really like it because you're a terpy gal.
Yep.
And it's really all about the terps. It's like a vinegary, salty thing.
All right, I'll take your word for
it.
And
you're not supposed to eat like a plate of it.
Right. It's just like a charcuterie thing.
You're having like one little thing like this.
Okay. I can't knock it till I try it.
It's honestly, it's one of my, and it has like pickled onions in there too. So you're like mixing it with that.
Okay. I'll take your word for it and I'll give it a try.
It's one of my favorite.
A book by its cover.
It's one of my favorite, like, that's like my deep Jewish roots.
Okay.
Gefilte fish, I won't put on to you because that's really just like fish pate.
Well, I've heard it's only gross when it's in the can.
No, it's the best in the can.
I don't know. You're a boxed matzah gal. I don't know. I don't know.
The Manischewitz canned or jarred gefilte fish is some of the best.
Okay, I would try it because I saw a recipe that looked kind of good that had like caramelized onions on top of the gefilte fish.
I've never seen that.
And it looked so good to me. And I was like, I might be into that.
It honestly has very little flavor.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like a meatloaf, but fish.
It's exactly that.
Okay.
And that's why it's better when it's like a little more processed.
Okay.
Like the one my grandma used to make. Like, bless her soul, but like it was so bad.
Was it fishy?
No, it was like so bland. Because it's a bland fish that you're using.
Right.
You're using carp, which is like a very bland white fish. And so if you're not putting like seasoning and like salt and preservatives,
doesn't taste as good.
It doesn't taste as good.
Okay, so that I'm thinking this year about
what are your resolutions?
Well, if I can get myself to eat meat, that'll be a big one.
Yeah.
Because it's mostly like a mental hurdle for me.
Would you eat brisket?
What is that? Is that pork?
No, beef. It's like slow roasted beef.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'd eat a steak.
Ooh.
Definitely. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm also it's crazy because I'm walking this fine line where I'm like, in ways, meat will be better for me, in terms of like losing fat, like shredding, but like in terms of carcinogens, it's not as great.
Cholesterol, oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of where I'm like, am I willing to do this?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's so many. So that is TBD. We'll see what happens
in
this new year.
I think it's mostly about chicken.
I've always hated chicken. That's
and me too.
Where it comes down.
Me too. I don't love chicken, but
it's not good.
Like I would say, don't get into pork.
I won't.
Which culturally you wouldn't ever.
Religiously, I wouldn't.
But in my rebellious pork phase, I love it, and my cholesterol has never been as bad. And it's not one of the better meats.
Okay, got you.
Although crispy like pork belly.
If I went the pork route, I would definitely be a cold cut gal.
Like what, ham?
No.
No, what do you call cold cut?
Like salamis.
Oh, yes.
You know, things like that.
Like prosciutto. Not bologna.
No, but I don't hate bologna. I didn't when I was a kid. I used to eat a bologna and cheese sandwich with mustard.
Same. That's like with the mustard. Classic.
Yeah?
You have to have, but now with age.
I haven't eaten bologna since I was like 7 years old.
Like the texture is so creepy.
And speaking of processed, that's got to be like the worst processed food out there.
And I hate mortadella.
Do you?
With like the olive stuff.
Well, I love olives, so I'm like, I feel like it would be good.
But it's kind of like bologna. Isn't mortadella also like a kind of paste that they make into?
Maybe. I don't know.
It always kind of creeps me out. But salami, you should get, and prosciutto, get back on board. Those are.
Did you ever eat liverwurst?
Yeah, but not frequently.
Some girl in my class in elementary school loved it, and she would eat a liverwurst sandwich every day.
Yeah, my grandma used to make us eat like grilled liver, like
gross.
Because old Jewish tale. It's good for your like body, your blood. Liver? Yeah, it's so bad. It's like what is so liverwurst? Chewy. I think it's just sausage made from liver. No,
maybe.
I don't know, but I don't love it. Okay, so meat is back on the table. Yes. I love that.
I'm thinking about going back to school. We'll see.
Also love that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think that would be really cool.
If I find a cool program, I'm gonna do it. If not, I'm chilling out. I'm not so pressed either way, but it is like a possible goal for me. I
cannot support that more.
Yeah.
I think it's been, as much as I have a lot of self-doubt on why am I back in school as an adult, I really love it.
I think I would enjoy school more as an adult.
It's crazy.
Right? You have more of an appreciation for it.
You're do my readings
for this. Like there's so many things that you're like you took for granted when you were like young and partying.
It really comes down to that. It's like I'm paying for this, and the knowledge I'm learning is like so applicable to my day job or like my real aspirations and career. And so if I don't listen, it's on me.
Right.
And
did part of you miss like putting an assignment through? Because I think I missed that. And I don't know if it's like, okay, I also don't work in like a corporate setting where I have a boss really. So like, Meg and I, we work for ourselves. So like our boss in any way would be our clients, and our clients hire us because we're the professionals, So I miss having someone who's like judging my work, who can kind of serve as that checks and balances. And I miss like submitting something and getting a grade back and being like, yeah.
That's what I was telling Robert, actually. I was like, the weirdest part about school, especially in the field that we work, where we're kind of like building the expectations. Like there are not that many cannabis marketing people. Like there are people before us, but like longitudinality.
No, there's no generation before us. Really.
And it's really nice to submit an assignment that has clear expectations.
Yep.
And like fulfilling those expectations.
Yeah.
It's very comforting, and it kind of allows me to feel more like I feel more comfortable taking risks because it's in like a set framework.
I totally agree with you.
Versus like making decks for clients where you're like, I'm putting in these numbers and they seem good to me, but there's no benchmark to know if.
And it's different with every client. Like that's what I try to explain. Like, I'm not going to quantify something for you. I can only quantify your specific campaign once it's done.
And so that's really nice.
We'll come up with what quantifies it because everything is so abstract.
So that's really nice. I got all A's in my intro of administration class where I wrote all about weed, which was also very fun.
Very proud of you.
And that was cool to be able to like bring in, like part of my papers were like critiquing different policies and policy people. And so I went through like the New York legalization bill and the OCM, and it was really cool to be able to like take the time to actually read these things that we always try to read, but unless you have a reason to, at the end of the day, you're just like, ugh.
And you might read sections, but like there's no, like if it doesn't apply to you or like your specific goals or your client's goals, there's no reason for you to like dig into it.
Like a lot of our clients don't want us researching legalization unless it has a benefit to them.
Yep.
And it was cool to be able to like critique some things that exist and like base it on other research. I don't know. It was pretty cool to nerd out.
That is very dope.
But I will say some aspects are very annoying, like group projects. And right. I don't wish those that never upon get you. Easy. It's also like because we are older and you'll see what if you go back to school too, like there's younger people and they just like
they're not in the mindset we're at.
But also like we shit out decks on a daily basis.
Right.
Like a deck is not scary to me.
It's crazy how much your work ethic changes from the early days of college to like in about to be entering your 30s or in your 30s. Yeah. It's like your daily workload is like what I would spend all week stressing about over in homework form.
Like we had a presentation due. I saw that it looked ugly. I was like, this is unacceptable to me. In 10 minutes, I like redid the whole thing and it looked great. And they were like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I'm like, it's really not. Like
you're like, you have the software as well to do this.
It's all on Canva.
Yep.
Like, and that was so cute. I was like teaching them all these like hacks about Canva. And they were like, how do you know all this? And I'm like, because I'm literally 8 years older than you. Like
you're like, my generation began Canva.
Yeah. I was like, I am a very early adopter of this. I'm on the mailing list. I know when the features come out. Like,
okay. So like on your assignments and on when you're writing a check, like how long does it take you? Like, how long do you think it's going to take you to start writing 2024 instead of writing 20? I wrote 2022 the other day.
I was waiting for you to bring this up because as you said, 2024, it's not going to be 2024 to me until probably April.
Right?
It's so hard.
Yeah. I think we're entering a cosmic year, though, because the last day of last year was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
All I can say is it can't be any worse than 2022 or 2023 or 2021.
Yeah. I heard a theory, someone say the other day that they have bad years when it's an odd year. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to embrace that as well.
I think that's called OCD.
It's something like that. It's like overanalyzing something in your own favor.
But I also have that, like, I get uncomfortable around odd numbers.
Especially 3. Such an ugly number.
I need it to be dividable.
24 is my favorite number.
24 is a great number.
It's my favorite number. It always has been.
And how was your 24, like when you were 24, was that a good year?
What year was that? I feel like
it was the year before the pandemic. And that was when I was on my shit.
Was it really the year before the pandemic?
Or for me, it was.
Oh,
I turned 25.
I was like, no way. I guess I was like 26. You're 2 years younger than me, right? I was 26. I guess that really was a good year.
It was like when we were like in our shit of like doing all, like that was when trap weed events were like booming.
Yeah.
Like
my career was
like
everything was going well.
That was a good time.
That was a fun year.
It doesn't get better.
It doesn't get better. And then the next year, what year was that? Well, 2020, but then 2020 was a horrible year.
Horrible.
So I guess, that theory, whatever, take it as you will. Okay.
I think this is going to be a good year.
I have a good feeling.
I feel like we're seasoned enough where it's like we've kind of, I will say this year has been one of the best and one of the worst.
Yep.
I've felt like my happiest. Like we launched the podcast. We did really cool stuff. We got to like you did a Thanksgiving for the New York Times. Yeah. Like we did incredibly like out big of this world stuff.
Moves. Yeah, big moves.
And then also some of the like I don't think I've ever been this depressed. Like there were weeks where I like wasn't leaving my bed, like where I had never cried like that before. But then also just like incredible moments too. So it was, I think, the most intense year.
It was a very intense year, but I think that like they say, no flowers, no rain.
Exactly. And that's what I'm feeling for both of us now, where I feel like we're reaching the end of this like absolutely chaotic and stressful time. And I say this every year too, but I have faith that this is going to be a good year for us.
I also think I've been in my Saturn return as well.
Yeah, that's what everybody tells me.
Not great, but that's what you have to go through during this transition anyway. So, yeah.
And I feel like we've grown. Like, look at this. Not to be like sentimental, but like a year ago, we were literally in a random studio in LA. You were working on other stuff. I was like helping other people's podcast. And then we randomly did an episode. And now we're in New York. And what is this, our 40th episode?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yep. It's crazy that we have launched a podcast that has come out every single Tuesday for almost a whole year.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Like, I have people who I don't talk to regularly who will be like, oh my God, your podcast is so funny. And I'm like,
and it's funny because they feel like they're hanging out with us.
Yeah, I'm like, we don't even text like that often.
But
like,
I kind of wish I kind of wish it was the other way, where I'm like, you guys got to launch a podcast so I could feel like I'm hanging out with you.
Right. And I'm also like, why are my close friends not listening?
Someone posted their Wrapped at the end of the year, and they were like, oh my God, these were the best podcasts. I was like, I'm actually a little bit offended our podcast isn't in your top 5. Well, kind of hurt.
Alyssa is apparently we were her #1 podcast this year.
No way.
Yeah. And she's like in our top 30. I forget. She sent me we didn't get access to that data. Like, yeah, they get we just got like general demographics, but she got like, you are in the top 30% of this podcast.
Oh my God, love.
I was like, thank
you to our beautiful supporters.
Yeah, that's like really cool.
And I kind of want some feedback too. I've been thinking of this. What do you guys think of us launching a Patreon?
I'm not opposed to it. I feel like I always go through the Patreon phase for every project I've done, and I never follow through with it because
I've never gone through that phase.
With Pussyweed, I thought for a while about doing a Patreon.
Not a bad idea.
And then with Cody also. We wanted to be a patron of Cody's life. And for $5, you can get a personalized kitty video.
It's a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah, but if you can make it work, then it's like you don't pay for the food for the cat or the litter.
That's very true. For us, it's like we're already paying to record. We're making content. Some of the content can be exclusive. So if you guys feel like that's something you would do, hit us up, let us know, and we'll start developing that. I do think it'll be fun, and I do think we can have special guests that are Patreon only. So you can be let into our personal circle a little bit more.
Yeah, and we can be a little bit more free with our thoughts.
Our thoughts and our shade.
That's been definitely like, I feel like we started strong. We definitely made a crazy impact. This year
started shady.
This year was the first year I've ever been called a meninist, which that was big.
Yeah, it's also really funny to see those same commenters talking about online bullying.
Yeah, no, like and stuff, that was also like a big part of this year. Was I had never really, as women who I like to say that we are girls, like I'm die hard for any women in this industry, and we have done a lot for helping women get jobs and get them out of shitty situations. So it was really interesting to be called not a feminist.
It's all right. Well,
but it was growing. Like it was definitely like we went through the highs and lows of this year. Like,
being hypervisible. And then we've gone through parts of being invisible.
Which is crazy. There was a moment where we were so hypervisible, which I had never gone through either, because on Pussyweed, I'm like kind of anonymous. Ava's anonymous too, due to her work stuff. And suddenly we were like going to sessions and people were like, I recognize your rant voice.
Right.
I was like, that's crazy.
It is.
They were like, you're Sarah's friend, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Well,
people would say the same thing to me. You're Natasha's like co-host, right? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what's your name?
I like to be seen, not perceived. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Like,
I can only be perceived behind a camera, not in real life. So, act like it's your first time meeting me.
Exactly. We don't know each other. Please never mention the podcast in public.
It's Fight Club.
Yeah. So that's been big. And I think that's also in my resolution. I want to be more comfortable with being fully seen and like trying to be less performative in public.
Love that. I think that's a really good resolution. I'm going to try to adapt that myself.
And we're both like trying to make a lot more content. That's been funny. We're both like in our TikTok swing. And I think that's really good. Like just practicing doing what we've done for clients forever for ourselves, which I've said forever, but it takes time to put into motion.
It takes time and effort. And like, honestly, we're working on a million other things.
Like literally.
So like to just post a video for fun, that usually is like the last thing.
Wait, did I tell you about the girl from my group project who found out about the podcast?
Tell me.
Oh my God, this was so cute. So I'm very secret in grad school about my, like I tell them I'm like in cannabis advocacy, but I keep it pretty low key. And I guess I had a TikTok that did like pretty well recently, and it showed up on her like For You, the one about the Forbes.
Oh yeah, that was such a good one.
It was so funny.
That was really good.
And that was like literally like, it's always
off the cuff.
It's always the ones when you're like on the toilet and you're like, oh my God, this is gonna be funny.
Right.
And she texts me and she's like, oh my God, I just saw your TikTok. I'm smoking a bowl while I'm listening to your astrology thing. One of the first clips. And then she's like, where can I listen to the podcast? Does it like come out regularly? And I'm like, every Tuesday. And then she goes, you have no idea how happy it makes me. I thought you, like, I knew you smoked weed, but I didn't know you were, like, deep in it. Like, I been looking for, like, a women community like this in DC. And I was like, oh, that's all we can ever hope. Like, but it was so cute. She was like, I hadn't heard about somebody being excited about the podcast in a minute, because like our inner circle is like a little they're like a little bored. And it was so cute. And so I think that's also like being more about spreading the gospel.
I agree.
I usually like never tell anybody.
So in New Year's Eve pasts, how have you spent them, and like what was the weirdest way you've spent it?
So as like a newly sober girlie, in the past like 3 years, I've really spent New Year's Eve like with my parents. Okay. Because I feel like I hate being around drunk people. It's really like triggering, and it's really annoying, especially in New York. If you're not ready to drop like $200 to $300, like you're not like, and that's just getting home. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, because the train on New Year's Eve, you can't. And I'm not talking about like spending that money at the club. I'm talking like getting an Uber home from wherever you are. And you're going to have to wait an hour for that. It's probably going to be close to $100. More. You know, like it's pretty crazy. So I hate that aspect. I hate how full the city gets. It also just like feels unsafe at times. I forget that like your home is also in the city. So it's like. And I have to pass by Times Square. Right. So like there's no way for you to avoid the city on New Year's Eve. Like yeah. I'm still in New York on New Year's Eve, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near the city. Yeah. So sometimes I'll like be with my sister in Brooklyn or some stuff. So those were like the years before. But now it's like a French tradition to like eat seafood. Okay. So we just like, we go to the Chelsea market where there's that seafood market, and we just get like, they don't eat oysters. Neither do I anymore. Because I'm scared. But we'll get like, for me that, and then they'll get like little lobster tails, and we'll just like have a little night, you know, the like salmon caviar, like the little Japanese. Yes, the roe. So we'll do that and have like a little night at home. Love. But in my younger years, I don't know, I would go hard. Okay. Unnecessarily. In my younger years, I just had the realization that I've spent like legit the past 5. Let me see. I calculated this earlier. I'm going to actually see. No, yeah, the past 5 years. So the past 2 years, I spent New Year's Eve with COVID. So just home. That I had the year where like COVID started. I think I had like a early COVID because I was sick as a dog on New Year's. Like, you had COVID alpha. Yeah, like one of the worst. Like it was like an unbreakable fever. That's horrible. So yeah, you've had COVID. 2 New Year's Eves in a row. Which is kind of the best. The best and the worst. Unless you're like feeling really bad. I wasn't feeling good. I'll be honest. Those 2 years was pretty bad. But it kind of removes the pressure. 100%. I'm like, I'm not making plans or going anywhere. Oh. And then the 3 years prior to that, I spent it babysitting. That's incredible. Best type of way to spend it. That is so smart. You start your year off with a hustle, which is the right foot. And some tax-free money. Tax-free money hustle. And you also are not obviously pressured to be intoxicated because you're watching children. I love that. So you're just taking care of it, and you're getting surge pricing too, because it is a high demand night. That's so smart. And yeah, and then you get to make these parents like super stoked because they get to go out and have their date night and enjoy their New Year. What time do they get back? Yeah, I guess it depends. Usually like 2-ish. Yeah, I was going to say 2 seems appropriate. But 2. Has anybody gone back at like 4 or 5? Well, it's always been for the same couple. Oh, smart. So they were always doing the same thing. And the couple that I was babysitting for, he was running a restaurant. Like he was like the GM or something. Incredible. And she would go to the restaurant he's working at. So they would spend it together, like doing the cute restaurant thing. So not absurd partying. Not absurd partying at all. So yeah. I would recommend something like that if you're trying to stay away from drinking or anything in the new year. Are you doing that this year too? No, I'm chilling. I don't really know. I honestly hate New Year's. I don't look forward to it. It makes me uncomfortable. It's like all this pressure, but I do love resolutions. I love resolutions too, and I plan to stick with them. Do you have any others that you have? No, not really. My last one is I want to be more social. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I have not been social in DC. What's your cutoff date for saying Happy New Year's? Larry David notoriously has a cutoff date. Yeah. Mine is like March 1st. Really? Yeah. Late. I know, but it's cute. And it's like
that's almost the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, but it's like a nice icebreaker. That's by the time I will have gotten down to 24 and writing the date, you know?
Okay. All right.
What's yours?
I would say like the 3rd week of January.
Yeah. What does Larry say? Like the week after?
Yeah, I think he's like pretty firm and cutting it off early. But I would say the 3rd week, and even then as a stretch. It's like, you know, when you eat Thanksgiving food and it's like day 4, it's like, throw it out. Throw it out.
I mean, no, I don't know.
Throw it out. Because get rid of it. I'm scared of you.
My mom's eating.
Your mom's still eating Thanksgiving leftovers.
From Miami.
That have been stored in the oven unheated.
I didn't bring any like moisturizer with me to New York, and so I borrowed her face cream today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure she filled the bottle of face cream with foot cream.
No, she did not.
Because that shit smelled so bad. No, it just smelled weird. And I'm like, this is either expired or foot cream. Like, and so my face feels weird.
My face smells like a foot.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year. I'm excited for us.
Well, to everybody in the Not For Nothing community, Happy New Year. We hope to see you many times over this year, every Tuesday. You know where to find us. Give us a rating, a like, a subscription, anything you can, and get back to us about that Patreon. We're definitely interested and willing to make it happen for you.
And let us know your resolutions. I'm curious what y'all are doing.
Yeah, what's our community up to? What are you guys resolving to do this year?
Hopefully good things.
All good things. Sending you love. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. And don't forget to follow at Not For Nothing Pod.
Yep.
And where do they follow you?
How can I help you?
And me at Natasha PRZ. And we will talk to you so soon.
Bye.